Welcome to the Hands-on Art ceramic painting tutorial presented by Ambrosia. This is available in PDF format if that's easier for you to follow, and will be available on our website and in the studio. Begin by gathering all of your materials, your ceramic piece, your paints, and your tissue paper to begin tracing. And remember to wipe down your surface with a wet sponge. I began by doing the gray area along the whole back side and that little section in the front, and then chose to add a little doodle bob of Spongebob. And remember, when doing the tracing, use a liner brush or the fun writer, and you can use whatever color you'd like, but we use black. And it's important to go slow and constantly be dipping your brush into new fresh paint. If it dries out or there isn't enough paint, it won't glide on as expected. And keep in mind throughout this process, the whole thing doesn't need to be outlined. You can use your creativity and just outline certain areas that need most impact. And now our little guy is almost complete, and we can jump over to the front. Going in with the lightest blue, I'm doing a little wavy motion here, and this is just to give myself a base. Once I get all three layers of these blues on there, then I can go in and start to mix them together. But not until you have all three layers can you start to mix these colors. We want to make sure we have 3 layers of every single color, or else it won't look as we expect it to in the end. Now I'm freestyling those bolts that are on the window and adding in a gray to outline that and add a little bit of a shadow. Going in with that same gray and just adding in a line to separate the outside of that window to the inside of the window. And here is what that looks like. And then you do want to choose an area that is your top, because once we start to add the shadows with the black liner, we do want to be a little bit more intentional with the direction of that shadow, like you can see here. Now I'm going in with the pencil and adding in those flower marks. Now don't worry, this will not show up if you decide you don't want to add a flower in after all, or add one in a different place in the end. Now we're going in with our purple and just outlining the first flower. And again, we want to be constantly dipping our brush into new fresh paint. If it starts to dry out as you're painting, that means you need to dip it again. Then we're just going to repeat that process with the remainder flowers. Remember, we want to do 2 to 3 coats of every single color, so even though it looks thick, I still went in after it dried and added another layer of all of those flowers. Here you see me adding in those directional shadows we talked about earlier. So sometimes it looks like I'm putting it in the wrong place. That is just because of the Lazy Susan that I'm using, and the plate is turning. So I am definitely trying to pay attention to where I'm placing that black line for those bolts. And then just adding another little liner to the inside of the window to really solidify that. And I also added that same dark gray to the edge of the plate just to merge those two sides. Here I'm adding a little highlight to those bolts with some white, and then adding a little bit of a highlight to the edge of the window itself with a few little dots to add a little extra shine. Now for the fun part, so you can grab your child's hand and definitely generously coat that hand with your paint color, and then have them firmly press it down. I'm picking and choosing just a few areas that I want to add an extra layer to, just so that it really pops. And then with the red, add in those little freckles of the jellyfish. Now the white is where this is really going to come to life. We want to make sure we are being intentional with our outlining, but not losing the shape of our child's hand. And we do want to make sure that we can see the outline of the jellyfish body right before where those knuckles end. Then as a final touch, we're adding in a few little bubbles here and there, and definitely making sure to overlap some of those flowers that are in the background. That is really what's going to give this piece the depth that we're looking for. A few little dots here and there, and our piece is complete. I am so happy with how this turned out, and I hope to see you guys soon in the studio following along with this tutorial. Have a great day.